Hey everyone, my name is Keith Rose. I use he and they pronouns, and I want to talk a little bit today about changes with the name change and gender marker change processes, specifically in Missouri and Illinois, because not only of recent events before the election, but also some things about how the election might change our access to name and gender marker changes. So I'm going to talk about changing your name generally through the courts. We're going to talk briefly about which laws you need to follow whenever you want to change your gender marker. And then we're going to go over gender marker changes on driver's license / state ID, on your birth certificate, and on your federal documents like a passport or passport card. So just so you know, I'm from a group called the St. Louis Name and Gender Marker Change Mutual Aid. We are a collection of volunteers. I myself am a paralegal, and we also have members who are attorneys. We give out a bunch of free legal information on our website, stlnamechange.com, and you can go on there for not only the information I'm giving today, but a whole bunch of other information. And in addition to that, we partner with other groups in the St. Louis area to do free name and gender marker change legal clinics. And we don't have specific dates set yet, but you can follow us on social media or send us an email at stlnamechange@gmail.com to get more information about our upcoming events, where you can come and talk to people who have gone through this process in a mutual aid setting to learn more about what you need to do to change your legal name or gender marker. We have information for folks who are adults and also folks who are under 18, as long as they have some parental help. So going right into it, I know that a lot of people are really concerned right now because of not only the election of Donald Trump, but also the Senate takeover by Republicans, and in Missouri, the supermajority that was maintained by the GOP. And so people are concerned about what rights they currently have that they might be losing and what this means particularly for the trans community. So just to break things down, I want to put on the record that the day Donald Trump gets sworn into office, I do not anticipate there being any changes with your right to change your legal name. That is because these laws are governed at the state level, and we do not see anything that's going to dramatically change on January 20th or 21st around legal name changes. That being the case, it's really important to understand that if you have been thinking about a name change, now might be a good time to do it just so you can get your documents in order. But I would not say that you need to rush out and do a name change at this moment, particularly if you're not certain about what name you want as your new legal name. We're having people contact us who say that they know they want to change their name, but they're not sure yet what name they want for their middle name or how to spell it. And my suggestion for those folks is take some time to really make that decision before you commit, because what you don't want to do is run into a decision that you're going to have to change later, because the amount of paperwork to go back or switch to a new name is really not helpful, and it will make things even more complicated for you. So take your time, think it through, and don't just grab a new name out of fear that this might be your last chance. Right now, especially in Missouri and Illinois, we know that people have a very clear right to change their name in most situations, and the courts have generally respected people's ability to pick their own name. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Jumping into the gender marker question, we're seeing a lot of people who are wondering what is their different possibilities for changing their gender markers. And so the most important thing to break down is that you do not have a single legal sex. There are different gender markers that exist on your different legal documents, and those can be different at the same time. So for example, many people carry around a government-issued photo, state ID, or driver's license. There's a gender marker on there. That gender marker, to have it changed, is something that you would do based upon the state that you currently live in. So if you are living in Missouri here, the rules that you would use to change your gender marker on that state ID or driver's license have recently changed. So up until the beginning of August or so, we had access to change our gender markers either from M to F or from F to M using a form called 5532. But in August, this form was unilaterally rescinded. So what that means is right now you can no longer use this form or any other form to change your gender marker on your Missouri ID. From what we've been told, although the details are scarce, people are now required to get either a court order or a letter from a surgeon that says that they have had bottom surgery and that their sex has now changed. Therefore, if you don't think that you qualify, it's very likely that you no longer will be able to change the gender marker on your state ID or driver's license. So for folks who currently live in the state of Illinois, you do have the ability to change the gender marker on your state ID. That's your driver's license or your ID that you get from the state. And the form for that does still exist, and it's quite easy to use. So you can find it on our website or on the government website. It is called the Driver Services Department Gender Designation Change Form. This form, all of it requires for you to change your gender marker on your state ID is you fill out your basic information, and then you sign here a quick statement that says that you are changing this for legitimate purposes. And you take it into your local DMV and they can process it there. For this form and on that state ID or driver's license in Illinois, you have the option to change your gender marker to either male, an M, female, F, or X, a non-binary gender marker. And you have that for other Illinois government forms as well. So that's for people who live in Illinois, regardless of where you were born. So moving on and thinking about our gender marker on our birth certificate. To change your birth certificate, you have to follow the law of the state that you were born in, because those are the people who control your birth certificate, regardless of where you live today. And that means that if you're someone who was born in the state of Missouri, the requirements for you to change your birth certificate's gender marker are laid out in statute, and they say that you need to have previously changed your name, that you had to have changed your sex by surgical procedure. And so those terms are not very clearly defined, and different judges have interpreted them in different ways. So what you generally need to do is go to the court where you currently live, even if you no longer live in Missouri. So for example, say you were born in Joplin, Missouri, but now you live in Chicago. You would go to that court in Chicago and say, hey, I need you to give me an order or a judgment finding that my sex has been changed by surgical procedure. If you are someone who currently lives in Illinois, but you were born in a state like Missouri, Illinois has just passed a law that makes it easier for you to change the gender marker on your out-of-state birth certificate. And that's something that you can also find on our website. So that's for folks who were born in Missouri. We find that most people who want to change their Missouri gender marker want to use an attorney for this process. It can be kind of complicated, particularly because you often have to take medical records, some of which might be very confidential. And if you don't know how to navigate the court records filing system, there is a possibility that you might misfile those, or they might end up in the wrong hands or even made public. So we often encourage people to use an attorney. And for that process, the Missouri gender marker change, there are no state forms that you would use, unlike the name change process, which has a standard form. So we have developed forms, and if you have an attorney, we would be happy to give them the forms that we've used for free, because we want to make sure that as many people have this option as possible. And a quick note on that Missouri gender marker option. Right now, we have not had the law change in a few years, but it is possible that sometime in the middle of 2025, we might lose that right to change our Missouri birth certificate gender markers. So if you are positioned where you think you would qualify for that and you want to do it, I would encourage you to try to get it done maybe sometime between now and February or March. I don't think that there's much of a rush to get it done before that, just because of the timeline of laws changing, but I would feel comfortable having it done by around March. And then the last thing to know about Missouri birth certificate gender markers is there's only two options. You can go from male to female, or you can go from female to male. There is no X on the Missouri birth certificate. So moving on, for people who were born in the state of Illinois, regardless of where you live now, there's a very simple form that you can use to change the gender marker on your Illinois birth certificate. This form, which you can once again find on our website or on the government website, has recently been made easier. Up until 2023, you would have had to have a letter from a physician, but that's no longer the case. So now you can just do this simple form that you fill out and sign in front of a notary and send it into Springfield, and they will change your Illinois birth certificate. So whenever you fill this out, you put out your basic information at top, and you say that you want to change your sex designation, how it was, so you could say male, and how you want it to be, it could be female, or you could put X or non-binary. Illinois allows you to have an M, an F, or an X on your Illinois birth certificate. So if you're someone who lives in Missouri, but were born in Illinois, you could change your birth certificate in Illinois and then take that new birth certificate into the Missouri DMV to change the gender designation on your Missouri driver's license or state ID. Beyond the state ID or driver's license and the birth certificate, there's another set of documents that have a gender marker. So you also have the option to get a federal ID, like a passport. On the passport currently, we have options to change our gender marker, even if you have had no surgery, even without any letter from a doctor or a therapist, you can change your passport's gender marker. Or if you're getting your first passport, you can pick which gender marker you would like. So the options that we have available now for US citizens is you can get an M, an F, or an X. And you just simply check the box you want. And then if you are changing it from your other documents, you'll need to check yes on that. And then you just submit it like any other applicant would. You do not need to prove that you've had surgery. You do not need to have any other letters. It's just that simple. We would really encourage people who are thinking about changing their gender marker to get a passport, or in particular, a passport card before the middle of January. That's because it's very possible that the Trump administration is going to put extra hurdles on people who want to change their gender marker on their passport. And so by doing this, you will have a real photo ID that you can use for flying, that you can use even to enter and leave the country, and it'll have the proper gender marker on it. The one thing we do often warn people is if you want to have an X gender marker, it is possible that there are some countries that do not recognize the X, and you might be opening yourself up to additional questioning whenever you show up at their border. And so just be prepared for that and think through what kind of places you might want to travel to whenever you're deciding if you want an X versus having an M or an F on your passport. On top of that, we really do encourage people to look at getting a passport card, because not only is it $100 cheaper than a book, it's also something you can put inside your wallet, just like you would a state ID, and it will have that right gender marker on it. So you could use it as an affirming form of photo ID, even if you're in Missouri and you can no longer change your driver's license or state ID. So one of the things we've been helping people with at our clinics recently is the St. Louis Name and Gender Marker Change Mutual Aid just got a passport photo device. And so if you come to one of our events, we can take your picture right there and print it out and help you fill out the application and send it off. We really encourage people to get these in before January, just in case these rules change sometime soon. But for now, you still have those options of M, F, and X on your passport or passport card. So just to recap, if you want to change your legal name, you'll do it based on the laws of the state and county that you currently live in. If you want to change the gender marker on your state ID or driver's license, you'll do it based upon the state that you currently live in. If you want to change the gender marker on your birth certificate, you need to follow the rules of the state that you were born in. And if you want to change the gender marker on your passport, anyone in the US can just self-select a gender marker of their choice and submit it in. We really don't think that these rules are going to change overnight, but it would be wise to get your documents in order while you can, and check back with the St. Louis Name and Gender Marker Change Mutual Aid for any updates. We're going to keep on top of this stuff and make sure that you have all the most relevant information as things change. Thank you.